over, is it?
No. Well, and to, piggyback on everyone, what they're saying, look, we're in an upgrade. We're in the God factor. You look at Acts 1:8, you'll receive power. All right, look at the upgrade. Few verses later, chapters later, now you've got great power. Genesis 1, every day God declared something was good. Then all of a sudden God rested.
Right.
And then it became very good. And God's been saying, and Gene, we've been talking about it, where we prophesied, the Lord said that we would start off this decade, there would be a plague. And then he said that it would start off harsh.
Yeah.
And then we would end up in rest. And part of that rest is being revealed in Trump's cabinet right now. And it's the resting of God's case, meaning from the court of heaven, righteousness and justice. Why is Pam Bondi there? She represents the Attorney General, because we have seen things that have not been done right.
Right.
And a lot of evil. And God's saying, no, I'm going to write it, but I need a vessel that will allow my righteousness to be administered. Why Kash Patel? Because he's the Department of Justice. And now I need somebody like Kash who's going to do not only right, but to bring the scales of justice back. Because it's why we're seeing classified things becoming declassified. Because God is dealing with things right now. It's a sign, lastly, of the glory of God.
Amen.
When the glory comes, Exodus 32, he said, Moses, get down. First recorded, that's where disco was invented. Get down. What was it supposed to do? Stay alive. Woo. That's where the song came from. Keep a nation alive. The people have corrupted themselves. Glory, corruption. All of this is coming because God is asking us, what does a nation look like filled with glory? And can I say this, Lance? I just feel this. What you have labored in 7 mountains, President Trump represents a Moses-type figure who is leading us now back to the 7 mountains. In his, it was the mountain. Him, it's the 7 mountains, so that the glory can come down and be part of the mountain experience. And to your point, we can't get caught up in wandering around again, trying to figure out, is Trump really for America? Is he Antichrist? We got to stop wandering and let the glory come down on the 7 mountains expression. And you're part of that leadership apostolically that's going to help reform us.
Amen. Well, let's get to some current news. I bet you didn't know this one. Charlie Kirk just posted this not long ago. Ukraine has agreed to President Trump's requested mineral rights deal with the U.S. as compensation for hundreds of billions of dollars America's invested. Kiev will contribute 50% of future mineral revenue to a joint fund. The deal comes without security guarantees. Zelensky heading to the White House for the signing, the art of the deal.
Wow.
So
now
what does that mean?
What is that?
So what's interesting is, you remember Trump at CPAC?
Yep.
He speaks, and he doesn't. What's fascinating about him is you never know what he's going to say.
Yeah.
I mean, not even his own team knows. Netanyahu didn't even know what he was going to say. It looked at me like when Trump said, "I think I should take over Gaza." It looked like Netanyahu just heard it 5 minutes ago.
He was easily surprised.
And it's like, well, he's an out-of-the-box thinker. So here's what our audience needs to understand. Trump announced at CPAC, Zelensky rejected my offer, and he's put it out there that Zelensky rejected. So that means that instead of sitting on it, and he got some bad news that Zelensky was not, that he had spoken, the Treasury Secretary went over and negotiated. Pete Hegseth went over and made sure there was, the understanding of what America's position was. J.D. Vance is involved. This is like, now it goes to Trump. What Zelensky did was he said, yes, yes, yes. Then he went back to the legislators, it's a bad deal. In other words, he thought he was going to out-politic Trump. But word got back to Trump that Zelensky killed it. So he announces he's the one that stopped the deal. Now he's a dictator, and he's a mediocre comedian, and Trump's going after him.
Oh, he was.
And it's like, oh my gosh, you don't want to get on his bad side. All of Europe is afraid Trump's going to do a deal without them, because they got $60 billion in France alone they're trying to get back out of this. It's economics, folks. So here's what Trump does. He says, all right, puts the praise, says, if I don't get in on this deal for minerals, you will not have I'll just let you Russia and China can figure out what you want to do. I could care less. I got a big, beautiful ocean between you and me.
That's right.
And it's like, that's the art of the deal. So they said, all right, okay, no, don't walk away. Because if America does mineral rights, What it does is it tells Russia, don't mess with Trump's investment.
Right.
See, he doesn't have to give a military guarantee. They just have to know Trump owns real estate. Don't attack the real estate deal, because then you're going to come against Trump's business. So Trump is doing business in the Ukraine in order to make a commitment that doesn't require a troop, because the whole world knows if you touch Ukraine, you're messing with Trump's business.
Yeah, without doubt.
That's the guarantee.
Go ahead, Pastor Larry, your thoughts on all that.
You know, when you think about when President Trump said that, I was watching, and you could see Bibi was surprised.
Yeah.
And you said his team doesn't know what he's going to say. I think a lot of times he doesn't know what he's going to say because he's thinking on the go. And a thought will come to him, and he'll throw it out, and that thing begins to percolate in the world. When he said, and I'm just going to tell you what I feel is going to happen, when he said made that statement about Gaza. If you look at Gaza, Gaza has to be level. Gaza could be a paradise, but it turned into a stronghold of terrorism. They're going to level that. A thing that will bring go all the way back when President Trump was in office first, and he started the Abraham Accord. Why were these Arab nations excited about the Abraham Accord? Well, we're going to have economic freedom with Israel. For what? Israel didn't have anything. But if you go back to 1960,
right,
when the Suez Canal was causing a lot of problems, the Suez Canal crisis, somebody brought up, well, let's do the Ben Gurion Canal. Remember that? Let's do the Ben Gurion Canal. We'll bring it up from Eilat at the Red Sea up to the Dead Sea, and we'll bypass. The problem with the Suez Canal, one is it has sandbanks, and it's always caving in. Once a ship gets stuck, it's closed for a week. The other side is the Muslim Brotherhood. So they were saying, well, let's go up there, but then they realized the Dead Sea's too far below sea level. So an alternative thought came in. Instead of going up to the Dead Sea, let's make a left through the Negev Desert, and this is 1960, and it'll come out in the port of Gaza. And so the price, from what I understand, to build that would be $100 million. $100 billion, but it'll profit $10 billion a year. So this will cause Saudi Arabia and these countries to have a direct access for trade all the way into, and Trump just got back. Why did he do this? He just got back from making a deal with India. We're going to do trade with India. Italy needs trade. This will, our danger is not Russia. Our danger is China. This will kill the China highway that Russia was going to do the deal with. Putin is now talking with Trump. We've released a prisoner. I'm telling you, I'm not saying thus saith the Lord, but I think you're going to see the Ben Gurion Canal, if somebody wants to Google it, the Ben Gurion Canal come up right through Gaza. They're going to turn that whole area into paradise. It will become a Dubai of the Middle East, and everybody is going to prosper out of that, and it will take power out of the hands of China, because now Russia has a way of getting oil. India has a trade route.
Do you think that Trump has the leverage with Saudi Arabia and Egypt and to be able to say, I don't want any resistance on doing this deal? You think he's got the ability to do that?
Because what's their one asset? Their one asset is oil. They have to get that oil out. The Suez Canal, a ship got stuck in the Suez Canal last week, turned sideways because of the wind. Took them a week. That it blocked all of that travel, all of those goods for a week. And this is going to make Israel. Why the Abraham Accord? What was the brilliance that President Trump had in saying, let's make a deal? Why would these Arab countries do this with Israel? What's the economic benefit of that? It's going to be, I think, it's going to be the Ben Gurion Canal, and there's going to be free trade. That whole area that is wasteless desert is going to be paradise.
It's all breaking news, Gene, today. I'm here on FLASHPOINT.
But Gene, to follow up on that,
Yep.
you know, there was a prophecy when it came out of my lips. I didn't understand understand it, Pastor Larry, where God said, pay attention to the Middle East, because he said there's going to come an unusual gathering of President Trump, Netanyahu, and the Arab nations.
That's right.
Wow. Remember that prophecy? And I'm like, why? And then he said, and it is not, and God had to clarify, he said, it is not that which you say. When you see this strange peace, that sudden destruction will follow. This is not the time. God said it's part of the reset of how he's globally resetting the nations to fulfill Psalm 105:37, to deal with global currency. When God delivers a nation or resets something, he brought them out with silver and gold. That's what's happening. The mineral rights, all of this. And then to do the next thing, RFK, to bring that there's not one feeble one among us. So God is doing this to not only heal the nations, but heal some of the bad blood for a season, because it's all pointed towards something called Renaissance. We've never seen it before. Dutch said last night on Flashpoint, Renaissance means the golden age.
Sure did.
Wow.
All right, well, speaking of winning, let's go to Caroline Levitt and hear what she had to say about, we're just winning. Watch.
And the winning continues here at the White House every day. Today, a federal judge right here in Washington, D.C., denied the Associated Press's emergency request for a temporary restraining order to restore their privilege of returning to the White House press pool. And the judge's denial of the Associated Press's request reinforces what I said from the podium last week and what President Trump has been saying. Covering the American presidency in the most intimate and limited spaces in this White House, in the Oval Office, on the Air Force One, is a privilege. It is not a legal right. And we want all voices to have that opportunity. And that's why we've expanded the James S. Brady briefing room to invite truly legitimate, independent journalists, podcasters, and other media types into that room to cover this president with honesty and accuracy and with real mindfulness of what the American people actually care about.
They actually care about the American people. Now let's talk about the media here for just a moment. I mean, Tony, you have everybody up here has a media presence, whether in as well as you guys that are full-time pastors, you've got a church to pastor, but you're also on the media, television, radio, podcasting, all that. And Hank, you got a network, OVTV. But the media shift, the narrative what the legacy media has proposed, has been putting out there, is now suddenly irrelevant.
Yeah.
Now, we've been saying, for the last 4 years, we've been saying, they're lying to you, and everybody goes, what are you talking about? And we kept saying, they're lying to you, here we are. And now suddenly, it seems overnight, but it hasn't been overnight, now people are coming, they're coming to Flashpoint, but they're coming to your podcast, they're coming to Lance's show, to Pastor Hank's, to listen because they want the real news. Have you ever thought that you would see the Associated Press kicked out of the press room?
Yeah.
I mean, this is it's just staggering. But that doesn't stop there. We got MSNBC. Joy Reid's crying because she's off. Yep. Les Holt is no longer at NBC, on the nightly. They're scrambling. They're looking for some sort of solution to the media and the narrative that has been so prevalent in the legacy media now is no longer relevant anymore.
But we need some help from Marco Rubio, because the Spanish media hasn't been called out enough. Telemundo and Univision hasn't been called out enough yet. We need Rubio's help in the White House to call them out.
Well, talk about that, because
once Trump was inaugurated, the Spanish media, from Univision to Telemundo, put the word out, get ready. They're going to raid your churches. They're going to raid your schools. They incited this fear within the Hispanic church. Attendance dropped in Spanish-speaking churches by almost 30% in a week because they thought their churches were going to be raided. President Trump never said that they were going to raid churches. What he did say was that if a criminal is hiding out in your church, we have the authority to go in there and arrest. So in Mexico, when the government at one time when the military in Mexico was trying to arrest drug dealers, what did they do? They would go hide in Catholic churches because of sanctuary laws, and they would hold an entire parish hostage to not be arrested. What President Trump and what the Border Czar did was send a message to Venezuelan gangs and to Mexican and Colombian cartels: you will not hold Spanish-speaking congregations hostage in the United States. If you try to hide out, we will go in and we will arrest you. That's not what the Spanish media said. I'm telling you, my phone hadn't rang, Pastor Sam's phone hadn't rang like that in years, of Spanish pastors full of fear, and we had to push back on the fear. And now what has time proven? Churches are not being raided. Schools aren't being raided. That's not what's going on. But I celebrate and I'm thankful for what's happened with the traditional legacy media in English, but we have to push back in the other languages that maybe everyone isn't listening to.
All right, so, but Tony, okay, so we're not...
Yeah. We need FLASHPOINT Espanol is what I'm saying.
We're pretty Anglo here until we get...
But he's got a point. He's got a point.
No,
45% of Hispanics voted for Trump, and in the midterms, if I'm not mistaken, they're going to be a critical factor in being able to hold the House.
Critical factor.
And if I was the devil, and it's our job to be prophets and predict what he'll do, he is going to take the immigration issue and keep it on ice, coincidentally, with the criminals, and as it goes a layer deeper into 10 million people that don't belong here under the Biden administration, they came in. Right. They are competing with the economics of Americans getting jobs because they'll work for cheap labor or for free or for under the table. So Trump has to claw that number out. By the time midterms hits, that's when they're quiet only for a reason. They're going to pounce.
Exactly. They're going to pounce on
We need to have our Hispanic media response from the White House. Immediately, we need to start strategizing for midterms, and I'm on it. I heard you.
Yeah,
so everyone from the most liberal proponent of immigration reform to the most conservative has always said that to have immigration reform, you must start with border security. That's always been said. Well, Trump finally did it. Trump is the first politician in my lifetime that doesn't campaign on something and then not do it once he's elected.
Right.
He shut down the border. 93% of the crossings are finished. Now, if this continues, and I believe it will, now we can finally have this next conversation that we're talking about. But Lance is absolutely correct. This will be the issue that the left is going to use they think that they're going to use to sway the Latino vote back their way. We can't allow it to happen. So the work isn't done. We have to keep the message loud, but we need people like Lance and Pastor and Pastor Hank. We need their messages getting out even into the Spanish community, so that they can hear the message of, this message of faith.
Is the AI good enough? I mean, can Hank do his show and then do it in AI, and will it do it?
I don't know if the AI can do all his impersonations, but AI can definitely.
It's not really Hank here right now. This is AI. But hey, don't forget, one of the things when God was delivering a nation, they had to go to Jericho, then a place called AI, and it's in there for a reason as a prophetic narrative. It is, because what we cannot allow is things that are accursed or fake to dominate in this time. To your point of 7 mountains, man, we just let the world have it. Well, we just sit there and go around the mountain in our 4 walls of our churches. Yeah. But I was standing this morning getting ready to come here, and the Spirit of God spoke to me about the airwaves, and I can't release what he's going to say, but he did say this. He said, Hank, I want to speak to you about something that they're plotting right now. And he reminded me that the enemy's the prince of the power of the air. Okay, we're seeing these people step down. You said something, Gene, last night on Flashpoint that got my attention, and it's this. If you think they're just going away to go away, they're not, to your point as well. When the enemy is cast out, right, a strong man. They've been a strong man in our nation of the voice of the false prophet. Right. Lying. Right. And now they're getting judged, but they're not going away. What they're doing is regathering to come back 7 times worse. And what they're after is, look at what Soros was up to. I think it was you, Lance, that might have said it, where he's buying up all these radio stations and all
a lot of Hispanic radio stations. Right. 20 of them. Yeah.
Because they want to dominate an audience to try to sway starting in the midterms.
Yeah. All right. So listen, I need to hear from you. If you're interested in Flashpoint Espanol, I really need to know.
Yeah.
I really need to know. So they'll put some website or something on the screen,
And Gene,
email that we can hear. Go ahead, Tom.
Forgive me for interrupting, but most of those that are watching, you go to a church that has some kind of a Spanish-speaking ministry,
right,
maybe a Spanish pastor. Make sure that they're tuning into Flashpoint. Make sure that they're getting the news in the spirit of faith so that they can then disseminate it to their congregation. The Hispanic community, the minority community as a whole, has great respect for ministry. Their pastor, their priest, they listen. They'll go and they'll respect who that pastor or priest says, where to, what lawyer to hire, where to buy a car, where to get a house. Make sure that those pastors are being exposed to things like Flashpoint and these ministries to get the real news that their congregations need, because they're being fed lies every single day on Spanish media.
All right, so put it in the comments here. All the social media outlets, will scour it. Put it in the social media account. And don't just say, yes, we want that. You know, I need to know if you're serious, because it's going to cost money and there's an effort behind it. And right now I've got an idea of how to make this happen, but I need to know if there's a real market for it, that people really need it, because I believe there is.
Yeah.
I believe people do want to see that. And you're right, 45%. And it's going to be crucial, not in the next presidential election, in the midterms. Because if we lose the midterms and they go back to the left, then Trump's
In fact, I think you should call our friend Floyd Brown.
Yeah.
With Western Journal, and I think that we should look at Carrie Lake, who's now got
Voice of America.
Voice of America, and we should make sure that we're having the Voice of American Hispanic Christian leadership speaking the truth on the airwaves.
I agree.
And let's do that, because this is how we're doing it. People see the Flashpoint Army. You're in the war room with us right now, coming up with strategies.
All right, we're going to take a break. We come back, I'm going to find out who's from Junkie to Jerusalem. You want to hear this story?